Some people are adrenaline junkies, and there is no better way to get that adrenaline flowing than a terrifying roller coaster ride at an amusement park. Every year, millions of people flock to different amusement parks all around the world, thrill-seeking and trying to find that perfect ride. People are willing to wait on lines for hours under the hot sun just to take a 3-minute ride on an extreme and scary roller coaster that will make all the waiting totally worthwhile. Sometimes, rides can be designed to be so scary that they can actually be quite dangerous. You've probably heard about roller coasters coming to a complete halt on the loop-de-loop while innocent passengers are suspended upside down for minutes and even sometimes for hours. Or maybe the freak stories where the carts fly off the tracks due to some type of fault in the track design. Buckle up and secure your seatbelts as we show you the list of 10 banned roller coasters you won't believe existed. And oh, make sure to stay up till number 1 to know what roller coaster will top our list. Number 10. Wildcat, Bell's Amusement Park, Oklahoma. If you've ever ridden a roller coaster, you know the nervous excitement that builds as the cars slowly climb to the top of the ride. It's the calm before a thrilling blur of speed, tight turns, and 360-degree loops. Now imagine how terrifying it would be if the lift chain pulling your car to the summit malfunctioned and sent it careening backward. That's exactly what happened on April 20th of the year 1997. That day, visitors packed the park for a special 25-cent per ride promotion. A popular attraction was the Wildcat roller coaster, which had been testing Tulsa's nerves since 1974. As one of the ride's cars reached the top of the highest hill, it stalled out, and the safety device meant to keep it from sliding backward failed. The car slipped 45 feet back down the track and slammed into another car, ejecting a poor 14-year-old boy who was the lone fatality. 6 other people were injured. State investigators ultimately determined that Bell's had replaced a plastic part of the anti-rollback device with a material that was not approved by the manufacturer. While the victims' families negotiated a financial settlement with the park's owners, criminal charges were eventually dropped. Bell's Amusement Park closed in 2006. Number 9. Willards Wizard, Marriott's Great America Amusement Park, California. Roller coasters don't have to reach extreme height or speed to cause a fatal accident. Take Willards Wizard, for example, which peaked at just 70 feet and clocked in at a paltry 42 miles per hour. It was so tame that when it was first constructed in 1976, its cars didn't even have restraints. An incident occurred on March 29th of 1980. When a teenage boy was stepping onto the ride, without warning, a second train came up behind the one he was boarding and rammed it. The impact threw the teen onto the tracks where the runaway train crushed his chest and abdomen. 8 others were injured in the accident, one of 5 fatal incidents in the park's history. In an effort to rejuvenate the ride's image, the park put seatbelts in the cars and renamed the ride simply Wizard. Nevertheless, the park eventually disassembled Wizard in 1988. Number 8. Derby Racer, Revere Beach, Massachusetts. The concept behind the Derby Racer at Revere Beach, Massachusetts was a fun one. 2 trains raced down parallel tracks to a finish line at the bottom of the ride. You can imagine the scene as teenagers screamed and taunted one another as one car pulled ahead through the series of dips and curves on the figure-8-shaped course. But excitement and friendly competition often turned to tragedy thanks to the coaster's abysmal safety record. In June 1911, the treasurer of a roller coaster company was fatally injured, ironically when he was standing up to lecture other passengers about safety. The accident forced local officials to revoke the ride's license until workers could install brakes and safety restraints in the passenger cars, which they did after. In 1917, a man lost his hat as the train headed up a steep incline. He fell out of his car while attempting to recover it. He tumbled onto the other track where he was hit by a train and dragged 35 feet. He died, according to the newspaper, after breaking nearly every bone in his body. In 1936, the Derby Racer was demolished. The roller coaster that replaced it was simply called the New Derby Racer. Number 7. Son of Beast, Kings Island, Ohio. This ride, The crown jewel of the Kings Island Amusement Park in Ohio is exactly what you might imagine when you hear the words terrifying roller coaster. When it opened in the year 2000, it was the only wooden roller coaster to be ranked among the top 10 rides in the country, thanks to its record-breaking height, length, drop height, and speed. Furthermore, Son of Beast was the only wooden roller coaster of its time to attempt a vertical loop. It was a daredevil's dream, just like these incredible amusement parks. In 2006, however, a split in the roller coaster's wooden track created a dangerous hump, causing a car to come screeching to a sudden stop. 27 people were injured as a result of this accident. 3 years later, when a woman reported that the roller coaster caused a blood vessel in her brain to rupture, the ride was closed for good. Number 6. Volcano, the Blast Coaster, Kings Dominion, Virginia. Volcano, the Blast Coaster was one of the most unique roller coasters built in the 90s and opened to widespread acclaim thanks to its 2 launches, unconventional layout, and unique theming. Volcano was the world's first inverted coaster to be launched by a linear induction motor, or an LIM, and was the company's only full-circuit inverted launch coaster. Partially built inside a man-made volcano, formerly home to a Smurf-themed dark ride, Volcano featured 2 launches that helped propel the ride to its top speed of 70 miles per hour. The coaster's iconic roll-out inversion appeared to erupt out of the top of the volcano like a plume of volcanic ash. The coaster was plagued by maintenance woes over its lifetime. For undisclosed reasons, the coaster closed abruptly in the summer of 2018. Number 5. Thunderbolt, Dreamworld, Australia. The Thunderbolt was a truly amazing roller coaster. Located in Dreamworld Amusement Park, which is in Queensland, Australia, this ride was just one of the amazing attractions at this park. The park, which has been open for over 35 years, is huge and is separated into different themes. Thunderbolt was one of the oldest roller coasters in the park, and none of the riders seemed to mind all too much. After all, it was the very first roller coaster in all of Australia to feature vertical loops. Since the ride was so popular, despite being old and a bit rickety, the park owners spent huge amounts of money to improve the guests' experience. However, efforts and money didn't work out and maintenance issues still raised concerns. So the ride was dismantled in 2004 to make room for more modern attractions that wouldn't incite as much concern for safety. Number 4. Starjet Casino Pier, New Jersey. Starjet was a steel roller coaster which operated at Casino Pier in Seaside Heights, New Jersey. It has a height of 52 feet, rolling 3 trains with 3 cars, and riders are arranged in 2 across a single row for a total of 6 riders per train. The Starjet was a replacement and an upgrade from its predecessor, which was named Jetstar, that had been around for decades and been one of the great attractions of Jersey's shores. In 2012, Hurricane Sandy destroyed the coastal areas of New Jersey, including most of the Casino Pier theme park. By some miracle, when the storm passed and all of Casino Pier was underwater, the Starjet had remained somewhat intact, standing in the water like the remains of a flooded world. Special removal services were hired to extract the ride, but it was unfortunately unsalvageable after the storm. The ride was never reconstructed. Number 3. Fujin Raijin II, Expoland, Suita, Japan. Disaster struck on May 5th of 2007, conveniently being the same date that Children's Day is celebrated in Japan. The seated coaster had operated for 15 years beforehand with no issues, being one of the most popular attractions at Expoland. The coaster was unique in that it was designed for riders to remain standing and reached a top speed of 75 kilometers per hour. The ride was almost over when one of the wheel axles on the car broke, causing it to lurch to the side. A woman died by smashing her head into the guardrail. The coaster dragged her for 300 meters before finally coming to a stop, and 18 other riders sustained non-life-threatening injuries. An axle that was never replaced and checked in 15 years was the culprit. The park was unable to recoup the reputation and closed in 2009. Number 2. Big Dipper, Krug Park, Nebraska. Local beer magnate Frederick Krug was the owner and namesake of Omaha, Nebraska's Krug Park, but no alcohol was involved when the Big Dipper's train derailed on July 24th of 1930. Instead, it was mechanical failure that led to the deadliest roller coaster accident in United States history. The train's 4 cars were heavily loaded as they departed the boarding area and headed up the first incline. According to investigators, that's when a piece of the brake system worked its way loose and jammed the wheels on one of the cars. It jumped the tracks, breaking through a guardrail before plummeting 35 feet to the ground below. Tragically, the coaster's lift chain continued to run, pushing the other 3 cars over the edge with the first one. Many riders found themselves pinned underneath the runaway train, which ultimately killed 4 people and injured 19. After the incident, the park got bankrupt, then closed in 1940. Number 1. Big Dipper, Battersea Park, London, England. Yes, another Big Dipper. The incidents attributed to this ride have been referred to as the worst roller coaster accidents in history. Built in 1951, this wooden roller coaster experienced issues right from its launch, with the ride shutting down at one point that year as one of the empty carts derailed, knocked over a railing, and left the passengers in the other car stranded. Later on, another accident would occur in which a woman left with a broken arm. The worst accident for the Big Dipper, however, was in 1972, when 31 passengers climbed aboard, only for the cart to detach from its chain at the initial incline of 15 meters. The cart sped down the bump and upon reaching a turn, fell from the tracks. This resulted in the death of 5 minors. The manager of the park was tried for manslaughter, but despite the prosecutors describing this ride as a death trap, he ended up being acquitted on all accounts. Soon after this, the Big Dipper was demolished, and the park closed its doors 2 years later in 1974. What's the most exhilarating roller coaster you've ever ridden? What do you think of these roller coasters? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe for more awesome videos.